Hello, so today I'll be sharing about the annual leaves according to the Malaysian Employment Act. Topics covered for this session is annual leave entitlements, prorated calculation. How do you do that? That means maybe you started work not at the beginning of the year, you started work in a new company in the middle of the year. How do you calculate your annual leave entitlements? And how do you calculate your annual leave when you resign? And finally, the conditions for annual leaves. What I'm sharing is actually based on the Section 60E of the Employment Act of Malaysia. So less than 2 years of service, you're entitled to 8 days per year. For service between 2 to 5 years, it's 12 days per year. And if you work more than 5 years of service, it'll be 16 days per year. Okay, mind you, this is just the basic that the Employment Act has put in place. If your company wants to give you more leaves, by all means, they will welcome that because it's always pro-employee, right? So if your company is giving you more days in a year based on your years of service, that's actually a benefit that they're giving to you. Do read through your appointment letter to understand more about that. So all the leaves that they are provided in a year has to be taken in the year itself unless there is an agreement or your company has a policy that they allow you to carry forward a certain amount of days into the new year and when it has to be utilized. And all these annual leaves are actually paid leaves. You should not see any deduction in your salary if you choose to use your annual leave. Okay, so prorated annual leave, what does that mean? That means it is for employees that are working less than a year. So let's say you join a company in July, you're not entitled to 12 days of your annual leave, but you're actually prorated. So it's based on your 6 months. Days is easier to calculate, right? You get 1 day per month. So if you work for 6 months, you get 6 days. But the calculation for this is days of entitlement, which is 12. You times by your number of months that you are working for the year divided by 12, which is 1 year. So if let's say your entitlement is 8 days, so it will be 8 times 6 divided by 12. Then you'll get your number of days. In this example, entitlement is actually 12 days. So it's 12 days times 6 divided by 12, then you'll get 6 days. Okay, this topic, calculating your annual leave when you resign. There are a few factors that you need to consider. All your annual leave will actually need to be paid to you before you resign. It's part of your right to get paid that. It's part of your wages. For example, let's say you have an entitlement of 12 days a year. You have balance of 3 days annual leave when you are resigning and you work 5 days a week. Your resignation date, for example, is 31st of December 2024, which falls on a Tuesday. So your last working day, when will that be? If you're going to utilize your 3 days of annual leave, you actually stop work on the 26th of December, which is a Thursday, because you have 3 days of annual leave to be utilized, right? Which will be used on the 27th, 30th, and the 31st. Why I didn't mention 28 and 29 is because they are weekend. It's a weekend and you work for 5 days. So if you work for 6 days, they will be on Friday, which is 27, because they will utilize your annual leave on the 28th, 30th, and 31st. Okay? You have to remember that, finish earlier, but you still get paid till the 31st of December. Another option is, let's say you want to fulfill till the 31st, an additional 3 days that the company has to pay you. So how is the formula for that? For example, let's say the salary is 3,000. Your salary divided by 26 days times 3. So the times 3 is the number of balance annual leave. So if you have 5, it will be 3,000 divided by 26 times 5, and you will get that amount. The third example is, let's say you have annual leave that you carry forward to the following year, and then you decided to resign. How does that go for your balance annual leave? Let's say you want to fulfill the 5 days just part of your notice period, then there's no calculation for this. But let's say you are fulfilling your end of your resignation notice, then there is an additional amount of days that they will need to pay you. So for example, you have annual leave from 2024 that's carried forward to 2025 of 2 days, but you tendered your resignation on 1st of March 2025 and you served 1 month notice, so your last day would be the 31st of March. However, you also didn't utilize the 3 days from January to March. So how do you calculate the balance annual leave? If there is no salary change from 2024 to 2025, then you still use the same formula. The salary 3,000 divided by 26 times the balance 5 days, 2 from 2024, 3 from 2025. This is your amount. But let's say there's a salary change beginning of the year, most of the time you will get increment in your salary. So 2024 salary, for example, is 3,000. 2025 salary is 3,200. So you still use the same formula but change your salary amount. For 2024, the 2 days you have to calculate 3,000 divided by 26 times 2, and then the balance 3 from 2025 will be 3,002 divided by 26 times 3 days. So the total annual leave balance to be paid will be 600 ringgit. Okay, conditions for annual leaves. You have to check your company policy, read through the handbook and everything so you understand what is needed from you as an employee. Most of the time they do give a time frame for you to apply an annual leave, maybe within 3 days. This is so that your department can actually plan, when you're not around, is how they're going to manage the workload, and also for HR to do processing. Employers can approve or decline based on operational needs, but most of the time they will be inclined to approve your leave, which is a good thing. End of the day, it's your right to take. Depending on your company policy, leaves may be forfeited at the end of the year. So if you don't utilize your annual leave at the end of the year, it could be burned, or they do allow a certain amount of leaves to be carried forward to the next year. And it's the employer's responsibility to maintain accurate leave records. Right now, I believe you guys have apps for your attendance and for your leave application, so it's easier to track as well. Still, can employers force you to take annual leave? What do you think? Okay, it goes back down to your company handbook and your company policy. Read through properly and see what are the details. Sometimes they may mention in there is like company reserves the right to approve any shutdown leaves and things like that. So make yourself acquainted, understand what is your company policy so you're aware. For example, maybe there's a company shutdown at the end of the year. So how do you manage that? Employers will actually have to send a memo to inform everyone about their plan, which is to have a company shutdown, and they have to get the consent of the employees. So do check your handbook and see what are your company's policies on that. For example, you don't have enough annual leaves for the number of days that the company is having the shutdown. Some companies are quite considerate and they will actually allow you to have advanced annual leave. That means you take your annual leave from the following months to be utilized in this current shutdown period, so that you do not lose any income at that time. In conclusion, read through your appointment letter, the handbooks, understand what are their leave policies, and if you don't understand the calculation in your payslip, how do they calculate your annual leave amount and things like that, do check with your HR. Some companies also have a golden handshake where they do as a big reward at the end of your employment of a balanced annual leaves. The annual leaves are there for you to take, so it is your right to utilize it. Healthy balanced work life and also your personal life. Life is pretty short, right? We cannot anticipate what's going to happen. Make better memories, quality family life, and for your own personal growth. So just take the annual leave as it is your right. If you require any of my services, I'm putting it down in the description below. I have a book out, a short book or words of encouragement. If you'd like to check that out, you can also get them from me. You may email me here and also check my books in the QR code here. That's all for now. Do you have any questions regarding your annual leaves? Do let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much. Have a great day.